Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Thiruvan Saranai. Good evening, Venerable Mahasangha, Sales, and brothers and sisters in the Dhammā. Today we will be starting on a new triplet, the Dassana, hetuka, Tika. In other words, having roots removable by inside triplet. Before we start on the triplet, we'll first revise our hetu, the 6 hetu. So there are 6 roots or 6 hetu. These are lobha, dosa, moha, alobha, adosa, amoha. Lobha, dosa, moha, greed, hatred, and delusion, these are akusala or unwholesome roots. Whereas alobha, adosa, amoha, they are sobana. They are beautiful roots which can either be wholesome, functionals, or resultants, depending on what consciousness it arises together with. So first we will look at the word hetu. Now in the suttas, the word hetu, the meaning of it is basically either cause or reason. It's also called karana. It's also synonymous with the word pachaya. Pachaya refers to condition, and a condition is something that gives rise to another thing. So basically, the function of a condition is to act as a cause or a reason for another thing to occur. However, in Abhidhamma, the word hetu has a special meaning, and that is mula. Mula refers to root, and root means that it's similar to a root of a tree. And why is it called a root? Because now the function of the root of a tree is to provide stability to it so that it won't fall off. Similarly, the function of a root or hetu in the sense of mental factors is to provide firmness or stability to the consciousness and the other mental factors that arises together with it. So this provision of firmness or stability is the function of a root or a hetu. Now, if a certain consciousness or associated mental factors are not associated with a root, then they will be very unstable. They will be weak, similar to moss that just floats around in water. And that is why the 18 rootless chitta are considered as weak chittas. So, as I mentioned before, there are 6 roots. However, although there are 6 roots, if you consider the types, unwholesome, wholesome, functional, and resultant, if you consider the 4 types, then you end up having 12 roots. But in general, we say that there are 6 roots: lobha, dosa, moha, alobha, adosa, amoha. So as I mentioned before, the 6 roots, greed, hatred, delusion, lobha, dosa, moha, are akusala or unwholesome roots. Whereas the remaining 3, alobha, adosa, amoha, non-greed, non-hatred, and non-delusion, are beautiful or sobana roots. And depending on what kind of consciousness it is associated with, it may either be kusala, wholesome, vipaka resultants, or kriya, functionals. Now, this is a table that categorizes the 6 roots according to how they are associated with the different types of consciousness. So the rows will show the different types of roots, whereas the columns will tell which consciousness these roots are associated with. So let's take the first column. These are the 8 lobha mula or the greed-rooted chittas, and lobha, the lobha chetasika, the lobha or greed root is associated with all 8 lobha mula chitta. When it comes to dosa chetasika, they are associated only with the 2 dosa mula or the hate-rooted consciousness. However, the moha is a akusala sadharana cetasika. That means it is a universal, unwholesome mental factor. Therefore, it is associated with all 12 akusala chitta. The 8 greed-rooted, the 2 hate-rooted, and the 2 delusion-rooted chitta. Now, those are the akusala mula. Now we come to the sobana, or the beautiful roots. These are alobha, adosa, amoha. And if you take alobha and adosa, these are sobana sadharana. In other words, they are universal to all beautiful consciousness. That is why from the sense sphere, beautiful consciousness associated with knowledge, from there onwards, right up to the supramundane consciousness, you find alobha and adosa occurring together with all of those consciousness. However, non-delusion or amoha is not so, because there are jnana vippayutta chitta occurring in the sense sphere. So the 12 jnana vippayutta chitta, the 12 sense sphere beautiful consciousness which are not associated with knowledge are not associated with amoha. So if you cannot remember what they are the 4 kusala, vipaka, and kriya which are not associated with knowledge. So the total of each of these are given on the last column. So lobha is associated with 8 consciousness, dosa with 2, moha with the 12 akusala consciousness. Alobha and adosa are associated with 59 of the beautiful consciousness. That means all of the beautiful consciousness. And amoha is associated with 47 of the beautiful consciousness. And the bottommost row gives the number of roots associated with each of these types of consciousness. So as you can see, the greed-rooted and hate-rooted consciousness are associated with 2 roots. The delusion-rooted consciousness, the 2 moha-mula chitta, are associated with only 1 root, that is moha. And the 18 rootless chitta are not associated with any roots. Next, we have the sense sphere, beautiful consciousness associated with knowledge, and the 27 sublime. Sublime means the 15 rupavachara and 12 arupavachara chitta, as well as the supramundane, the 8 supramundane chitta. They are all associated with all 3 beautiful roots, alobha, adosa, and amoha. And finally, the 12 sense sphere, beautiful consciousness, which are not associated with knowledge, the jnana vippayutta kamavachara chitta. They are associated only with 2 mental factors, 2 mula, which are alobha and adosa. So this table also classifies the roots, or rather it classifies the 89 consciousness according to the number of roots. So the first column shows the rootless. So there are 18 rootless consciousness. And with 1 root, it's just the 2 moha-mula chitta. With 2 roots, we have the 8 lobha-mula chitta, the 2 dosa-mula chitta, and 4 sense sphere, wholesome, resultant, and functional chittas. So 4 times 3, there are 12 chittas there. Altogether, there are 22 consciousness with 2 roots. And finally, with 3 roots, we have 47 chittas, and these are the 4 sense sphere, wholesome, resultant, and functionals. There are 12 consciousness there. The 15 rupavachara, fine material consciousness, and the 12 immaterial sphere consciousness, the arupavachara chitta, and the 8 lokuttara or supramundane chitta. Now, this is an important slide considering this triplet. Now, here we are focusing on the 12 unwholesome consciousness and their associated roots. The 8 lobha chitta are associated with two roots, moha and lobha. The two dosa chitta are associated with, again, two roots, moha and dosa. However, the two moha chitta have only one root. So keep this in mind. If you take moha, the root moha, it doesn't have another root that it's associated with. So this point is very important when we are going to analyze the Dassana hetuka triplet. Now let's look at the Dassana hetuka Tika, having roots removable by inside triplet. The first term is dassanena pahātabba hetukā dhammā, states having roots removable by inside. The second term, bhāvanāya pahātabbahetukā dhammā, states having roots removable by cultivation. And finally, we have neva dassanena na bhāvanāya pahātabbahetukā dhammā, states having no roots removable by insight nor cultivation. So, dassanena pahātabbahetukā dhammā, the expression having roots removable by insight refers to the states, the roots of which are so removable. So, if there is a certain state, if it has a root that is removable by insight, that is termed as dassanena pahātabbahetukā dhammā. Let's look at the Nikkepa Khandha, the summary section description of dassanena pahātabbahetukā dhammā. Which are the states having roots removable by insight? Tini saṅgaṇī, the three fetters. These are sacca, personality view or wrong view of self, vicikicca, doubt, and sīlabbata parāmaso, clinging to rites and ceremonies in the belief that they would lead to liberation. In this slide, here what is given are the definitions of sacca, vicikicca, and sīlabbata parāmasa. And you have to go back and look at the definitions of dassanena pahātabba dhammā, which we have already described. So we will not be describing them again. Now we mentioned three fetters. These three fetters, together with the corruptions united with them, and the four aggregates associated with them, as well as the actions, bodily, verbal, and mental, springing from them. These are the states having roots removable by insight. They are the dassanena pahātabbahetukā dhammā. Now again, the Nikkepa Khandha further subdivides. Now initially it stated what is dassanena pahātabbahetukā. Now it is going back to say what is or what are the dhammā that are dassanena pahātabba, the states that are removable by insight. Tini saṅgaṇī, the three fetters, sacca, wrong view of self, vicikicca, doubt, and sīlabbata parāmasa, clinging to rites and ceremonies in the belief that they can lead to liberation. These three fetters are the dhammas, or the states that are removable by insight. Now, in this slide, what is mentioned are the roots that are removable by insight. Tade katto, lobo, doso, moho. Greed, hatred, delusion, united therewith. United with the three, the sacca, vicikicca, and sīlabbata parāmasa that was mentioned before, the three fetters. So these roots which are united with those fetters are called dassanena pahātabbahetukā, roots removable by insight. Now we come to putting the two together. We spoke about what are the dassanena pahātabba dhammā, the states that are removable by insight. We next spoke about the roots that are removable by insight, dassanena pahātabbahetukā. And now we come to dassanena pahātabbahetukā, the states having roots removable by insight. So let's see what they are. Tade kattacha kilesa. Now we mentioned the three roots, lobha, dosa, moha. And now we are saying the corruptions that are united therewith, with those roots, and the four aggregates associated with them, as well as action, bodily, verbal, or mental, springing from them. These are the states having roots removable by insight. Ime dhammā dassanena pahātabbahetukā. So this is the Atthasālinī, or the commentary description of dassanena pahātabbahetukā dhammā. So what the Nikkepa Khandha has done is that it initially introduced what is referred to as dassanena pahātabbahetukā dhammā. It next went on to point out what are the states that are eliminated, or the dassanena pahātabba dhammā, and then followed by dassanena pahātabbahetu, the roots that are eliminated by insight, and finally it showed what are the states the states that have roots removable by insight. So basically it's showing the roots by a state of union finally. And now on the next slide, I will show you over here. This is why I showed you or reminded you about the roots and how they are associated with the different types of chitta. Now here, if you take the lobha chitta, they are associated with two roots. So if you take moha, moha has another root that is associated with it. That is lobha. Similarly, if we take lobha, it has moha to be associated with. When we look at the two dosa chitta, it has moha and dosa. So individually, when we take moha, it has another root associated with it, that is dosa. And similarly, the dosa mental factor has moha to be associated with it. However, when it comes to the moha chitta, and in this case, the moha chitta we are talking about under dassanena pahātabbahetukā is the vicikicca chitta, the consciousness associated with doubt. Now, this chitta has only one root, that is moha. And this moha does not have another root for it to be associated with. Therefore, we can't call it a dassanena pahātabbahetukā dhammā, because that moha, chetasika, that moha that is associated with the vicikicca chitta doesn't have a root that is removable by insight. So it will be taken out of this term. Now we move on to the Atthakatha Khandha, the commentary section of Dassanena pahātabbahetukā dhammā. Katame dhamma dassanena pahātabbahetukā, which are the states having roots removable by insight. Chattaro ditthigata sampayutta chittupada, the four risings of consciousness associated with wrong view. Vicikicca sahagato chittupado etupannang mohang tapetva, the risings of consciousness accompanied by doubt, excluding delusion arising therewith. Now, this is what we spoke about in the previous slide. Here, because moha doesn't have the moha chetasika that is arising together with the vicikicca sahagata chitta doesn't have another root for it to be associated with. Therefore, you can't call it as having roots removable by insight. That is why we have excluded it from this term here. So the four risings of consciousness associated with wrong view, together with the risings of consciousness accompanied by doubt, excluding delusion, ime dhamma dassanena pahātabbahetukā. These are the states having roots removable by insight. Chattaro ditthigata vippayutta lobha sahagata chittupada, the four risings of consciousness not associated with wrong view, dve domanassa sahagata chittuppada, the two risings of consciousness accompanied by displeasure. These states can be having roots removable by insight or having roots removable by cultivation. Now, these 6 consciousness, I'm sure you would remember, they are only partially eliminated by insight. So what basically happens is that their ability, the ability for these consciousness to give rise to a birth in a subhuman realm is eliminated. So it basically weakens the strength of these 6 consciousness by insight or by the Sotapatti Magga. So the remaining 4 Ditthigata Vippayutta Chitta and the 2 Dosa Mula Chitta, the remaining ones are removed by the next 3 parts, and that is covered under bhāvanāya pahātabba hetukā. And for this reason, in the Atthasālinī khandha, these 6 chitta are given as can be removable by both insight as well as cultivation. This is the summary of the states having roots removable by insight. The states that are completely eliminated are the 4 Ditthigata Sampayutta, the 4 consciousness rooted in greed associated with wrong view. The Vicikicca Sahagata Chitta, the consciousness accompanied by doubt. And together with them arises 22 mental factors, excluding Mana, Dosa, Issa, Machchariya, Kukkucca, as well as the delusion that is arising together with the Vicikicca Sahagata Chitta, or the consciousness accompanied by doubt. Now, here we are not deducting Moha Chitta as a whole, because Moha can be found in the other Ditthigata Sampayutta Chitta as well. And that Moha is not taken out because it has Lobha for it to be associated with. So here we are taking out specifically only the Moha Chetasika that arises together with the Vicikicca Sahagata Chitta. Next, we come to the states that are partially eliminated. So basically what happens is the ability of these states to give rise to subhuman realms, subhuman rebirths are cut off. Now, these are the 4 Ditthigata Vippayutta Lobha Sahagata Chitta, the 4 consciousness rooted in greed, dissociated from wrong view. And the 2 Domanassa Sahagata, or the 2 Dosa Mula Chitta, the 2 consciousness accompanied by displeasure. And together with them arises 25 mental factors, excluding Ditti and Vicikicca. Here we have a table summarizing the differences between dassanena pahātabbahetukā and dassanena pahātabba dhammā. So on the left we have dassanena pahātabbahetukā, and on the right we have dassanena pahātabba dhammā. And the difference is given in red. So basically everything is the same except for the delusion arising together with the consciousness accompanied by doubt. So the Moha Chetasika that occurs in association with the Vicikicca Chitta, that is not considered under Dassanena pahātabbahetukā, whereas under Dassanena pahātabba it is present. The reason why this is taken out under Dassanena pahātabbahetukā is because the Vicikicca Chitta has only one root, Moha, delusion. And that Chetasika, that Moha doesn't have another root for it to be associated with. Therefore, you can't say that delusion which occurs in the Vicikicca Chitta, you can't call it as having a root removable by insight, which is why this difference can be seen between these 2 terms. We now move on to bhāvanāya pahātabbahetukā dhammā, states having roots removable by cultivation. Now, the meaning of it must be taken in the same way that we took dassanena pahātabbahetukā dhammā. So basically, whatever state that has roots that are removable by cultivation. Cultivation means the three paths, sakadagami, anagami, and arahat. So the states that have roots removable by these three paths are referred to as bhāvanāya pahātabbahetukā dhammā. So here, now like under dassanena pahātabbahetukā, there was the vichikicca sahagata chitta, which had moha, which didn't have another root for it to be associated with. Similarly, here we have the uddacca sahagata consciousness, chitta. This consciousness again has only one root, only moha, delusion. So this delusion that is accompanied by uddacca, restlessness, doesn't have another root associated with it. Therefore, we have to take out that moha from this bhāvanāya pahātabbahetukā dhammā. So again, wherever there is moha, which is associated with the moha mula chitta, those moha cetasikas don't have another root associated with it. Therefore, we can't call them as having roots removable by either insight or cultivation. So this is what is mentioned under this description from the Atthasālinī. So again, this slide shows us how the different roots that are occurring in association with different chitta are present. So we have the four lobha chitta. Now, why we took four lobha chitta? Under bhāvanāya pahātabbahetukā dhammā, we get only the four ditthigata vippayutta chitta. That is why I have taken it as four lobha chitta. So these chitta are associated with two roots, moha and lobha. So if we take moha, moha has another cetasika for it to be associated with, that is lobha. So moha has lobha as another root. Lobha, on the other hand, has moha as a root associated with it. Similarly, when you take the two dosa chitta, the moha mula, moha root has dosa for it to be associated with. Likewise, dosa has moha for it to be associated with. But the moha chitta here, which is the uddacca chitta, that has only one root. It has only moha. And this moha cetasika doesn't have another root for it to be associated with. Therefore, we can't say that this moha cetasika that is associated with uddacca as having roots removable by cultivation. So therefore, this moha cetasika belonging to the uddacca chitta needs to be taken out of this second term. This is the Nikkepa Khandam description of bhāvanāya pahātabbahetukā dhammā. Katame dhammā bhāvanāya pahātabbahetukā, which are the states having roots removable by cultivation. Avaseso lobo doso moho. Whatever greed, hatred, and ignorance still remain, ime dhamma bhāvanāya pahātabbahetu. These are the roots removable by cultivation. So the remaining lobha dosa moha are the roots that are removable by cultivation. Hade kattacha kilesa, the corruptions united therewith, tam sampayutto vedanakkandu, sanyakkandu, sankarakkandu, viññānakkandu. And the four aggregates associated with them, tam samutthana, kaya kammam, vachi kammam, mano kammam, as well as the action, bodily, verbal, and mental springing from them. These are the states having roots removable by cultivation. Ime dhamma bhāvanāya pahātabbahetukā. So again here, the first slide showed what are the roots that are removable by cultivation. And it was mentioned as bhāvanāya pahātabbahetu. And the states that are associated with those roots, the kilesas, the four aggregates, and the bodily, verbal, mental actions that springs from the three doors. These are the bhāvanāya, pahātabba, hetukā. These are the states having roots removable by cultivation. This is the khandha, the commentary chapter description of bhāvanāya, pahātabba, hetukā, dhammā. Uddacca sahagato chittuppādo etuppanna moham tapetva. The risings of consciousness associated with restlessness, excluding delusion arising therewith. Ime dhamma bhāvanāya pahātabba hetukā. These are the states having roots removable by cultivation. Now, as we spoke of before, the uddacca sahagata chitta is a moha mula chitta, and it has only one root. It has only delusion or moha. Because this moha does not have another root for it to be associated with, we can't call that moha as a state that has roots removable by cultivation, which is why it is mentioned here as etuppanna moham tapetva, excluding delusion arising therewith. Chattaro ditthigata vippayutta lobha sahagata chittuppada. The four risings of consciousness not associated with wrong view or dissociated from wrong view. Dve domanasa sahagata chittuppada. The two risings of consciousness accompanied by displeasure. These six consciousness are both removed by dassanena, by insight, as well as cultivation. So therefore, it's mentioned as ime dhamma siya dassanena pahātabbahetukā, siya bhāvanāya pahātabbahetukā. And as you can remember, the ability of these six consciousness to give rise to a birth in a subhuman realm is cut off by insight, whereas the remaining power of it is cut off by the next three parts, which is classified under bhāvanāya pahātabba. So because we have those that are completely eliminated and those that are partially eliminated, it is given as two separate categories. This is the summary table of the analytical states classified under bhāvanāya pahātabba hetukā dhammā. The states that are completely eliminated are the uddacca sahagata chittuppādo, the consciousness accompanied by restlessness, together with 14 mental factors, excluding delusion. And the states that are partially eliminated are the four ditthigata vippayutta lobha sahagata, the four consciousness rooted in greed, dissociated from wrong view, as well as the two dosa mula chitta, the two consciousness accompanied by displeasure. And together with them arises the 25 mental factors, excluding ditthi and vicikicca. This table compares bhāvanāya pahātabbahetukā dhammā and bhāvanāya pahātabba dhammā. So given in red is basically the difference. So here under bhāvanāya pahātabbahetukā, delusion that is accompanied by the uddacca sahagata chittuppada, the uddacca sahagata chitta is excluded because that delusion, that moha doesn't have another root for it to be associated with. So it can't be called a state having roots removable by cultivation. So that is the only difference between these two terms. We now come to the final term. Neva dassanena na bhāvanāya pahātabba hetukā dhammā. States having no roots removable by insight nor cultivation. Now, this is the Atthasālinī or the commentary, a description of this term. So, as to how we need to understand the meaning of this term. So here what is meant by this term is basically if you have a state and if it doesn't have any roots removable by insight nor cultivation, that is what is classified under this term. Now, a person may think, okay, if you have a state and it has a root that is associated with it, but that root is not removable by insight nor cultivation. Is that what we take under this term? No, that is wrong. So for instance, if we take states that have roots which are not removable, then if you consider the 18 rootless consciousness, they don't have any roots. So we won't be able to classify them under this term because those states, those 18 consciousness do not have roots anyway. So if you take it as states that have roots which are not removable, then that is wrong. And at the same time, if you take Nibbana, Nibbana also does not have any roots. So then we won't be able to take Nibbana because it also doesn't have any roots. So we won't be able to classify it under this state. The next thing they have mentioned here is the expression not removable by either not removable either by insight or by cultivation. Neva, dassanena, bhāvanāya. If you take that phrase and you think, okay, this is applicable only to the roots and not for the remaining states, then it would give the meaning that only the roots are being removed and not the remaining states. So that is also a wrong way of interpreting this expression, this phrase. So, neva dassanena bhāvanāya pahātabbahetukā dhammā means you have a certain state which has got no roots that are removable by insight nor cultivation. It is only if you take the meaning as that we will be able to get all of the remaining dhammas that were not classified under the first and second terms. Let's look at the summary section, the Nikkepa description of neva dassanena na bhāvanāya pahātabba hetukā dhammā. Te dhammā tapetva, excluding those states. Now, what is meant by this is excluding the states that we mentioned under the first two terms. Avasesa, kusala, the remaining wholesome, akusala, unwholesome, abhyakata, indeterminate Dhamma states arising in kāmāvachara, rūpāvachara, arūpāvachara, apariyapanna. Basically the four spheres. Vedanakkhando, saññakkhando, saṅkhārakkhando, viññānakkhando. The aggregates of feeling, perception, mental formations and consciousness. Sabbancha rūpam and all material form, asaṅkhatacha dhātu and the unconditioned element, this is Nibbana. Ime dhamma neva dassanena na bhāvanāya pahātabbahetukā. These are the states having no roots removable by insight nor cultivation. So here it was mentioned avasesa akusala. So if I go back in the third line, avasesa kusala akusala bhyakata. So this middle word akusala is given here. And why is avasesa akusala given here? The remaining unwholesome states are with reference to the delusion that is accompanied by the vichikicca sahagata chitta as well as the uddacha sahagata chitta, which we took off from the first and second terms, because these delusions are not associated with another root. That is why they are not called having roots that are removable by insight or cultivation. So because they were taken out from there, they are classified under neva dassanena na bhāvanāya pahātabbahetukā dhammā. This is the Atthakata Khandam, the commentary chapter description of the third term. Which are the states having no roots removable by insight nor cultivation? Vichikicha sahagato moho, delusion associated with doubt. Uddacha sahagato moho, delusion associated with restlessness. Chatusu bhumisu kusalam, the wholesome states arising in the four planes of existence. Chatusu bhumisu vipako, the resultants arising in the four planes of existence. Tisu bhumisu kirya vyakatam, the functionals arising in the three planes of existence. Rupancha and all material forms, Nibbānancha and the final state of deliverance. Ime dhamma neva dassanena na bhāvanāya pahātabba hetukā. These are the states having no roots removable by insight nor cultivation. This table summarizes all the analytical states classified under neva dassanena na bhāvanāya pahātabba hetukā dhammā. So we got vichikicha sahagato moho, the delusion accompanied by doubt, and uddacha sahagato moho, delusion accompanied by restlessness. In addition, the 21 wholesome consciousness, that is all kusala belonging to the four planes, 36 resultants, all vipaka belonging to the four planes, 20 functionals, kriya, belonging to three planes of existence, and 38 mental factors, 28 matter, and nibbana. This table compares the two terms neva dassanena na bhāvanāya pahātabbahetukā dhammā and neva dassanena na bhāvanāya pahātabba dhammā. So as you can see, the difference between the two terms are the two moha chetasika that are associated with vichikicha and uddacha. So the vichikicha sahagata moha is classified under dassanena pahātabba dhammā in the previous Dassana Tika. And the uddacha sahagato moho is classified under bhāvanāya pahātabba dhammā in the Dassana Tika. So, however, here in the dassanena pahātabbahetukā tika, these two moha are classified under the third term because they don't have any roots associated with them. The rest of the analytical states are similar in both terms. So we come to the end of Dassana hetuka tika. I would like to leave you with an exercise, and that is to categorize the analytical states of Dassana hetuka tika, having roots removable by insight triplet, according to the khandha, āyatana, dhātu, and ariya sacca. It's now time to share merits. I would like all of you to join me.
现在将大家这些功德呢做分享功德呢，老师也邀请大家呢一起跟老师一起分享功德。
Akāsattā ca bhummattā deva naga mahittika puññānthaṃ anumoditva chiran rakkhantu sāsanam chiran rakkhantu desanam chiran rakkhantu param. Idam me ñātīnaṃ sukhitā ñātev. Idam me ñātīnaṃ sukhitā ñātev. Idam me ñātīnaṃ sukhitā ñātev. Imina
puññakamena mami alas
satan samāgamu yavan bhāvanāya. Idam me puññam āsavakya vahavutu. Idam me puññam nibbānassa paccayū hotu. Mama puñña bhāgam sabbe sattanam vājemi. Te sabbe me samam puñña bhāgam prabhantu. Buddha sāsanam pittatu. Buddha sāsanam chiram pittatu.
Buddha sāsanam
chiram pittatu. Sadhu,
Sadhu,
sadhu.
sadhu.
Thank you very much, Doctor. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.
老师，
You, Doctor. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.
易老师。
Satu, satu, satu.
Oh, so I will